Imagine doing grocery shopping, like maybe your monthly grocery shopping, and in winter, yeah, the bus is not coming. As a student, you probably think of paying taxes. Then before you
We
know,
wait
you're probably
there, the bus will come freeze.
Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Wale O. I'm a content creator based in Germany and I make content around moving abroad, living abroad, career tips and travel. If that sounds like your cup of tea, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, my MVPs, welcome back. You know I love you so much. If you are new here, consider subscribing to this channel because we share a lot of tea on this channel. Anyway, in today's video, we'll be talking about what it's like studying in Canada versus studying in Germany. For those who don't know, I moved to Germany 3.5 years ago for a master degree, and I must say that is one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And that is why I'm really obsessed with sharing information about moving abroad, how you can actually do it, and also what it's really like in the different countries around the world for different people and for myself in the different countries that I've lived in. In today's video, I will be talking to Tolu, who is also a content creator and a tech girl based in Canada, and she's going to tell us all about the journey to moving to Canada, how it was for her, how studying in Canada is, and how it differs from studying in Germany. I will be sharing my perspective on my period when I was a student in Germany, and she'll be sharing her experience when she was a student in Canada. So we'll be comparing and contrasting the two countries. You guys know I like comparing and contrasting those kind of things. Let's see who wins in this situation, because not everybody is going to be able to want to come to Germany because of the language barrier. The language is a big hindrance. Like I always say in all my videos, like you have to learn the language at some point. Don't let anybody deceive you. You cannot get away. I mean, if you're from a privileged passport country and you know that you can go back to your country whenever you like, fine. But for most people, you really have to learn the language to get the best that this country has to offer. Anyway, this is not a Germany promotion video. We're going to compare and contrast what it's like studying in Germany and what it's like studying in Canada. Let's get into this video. Oh, by the way, you guys, I forgot. If you are not following me on Instagram, hey, you are missing out. Follow me on Instagram. It's at Wale O Chronicles, and I'm on TikTok as well. It's at Wale O Chronicles as well. I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, but Instagram is where I really share like short form content, very quick tips and tricks, how to move abroad, career, and all that kind of stuff. So just follow me on Instagram. Now that I've said that, we can go into the video now. Hi Tolu, welcome back again to my channel. And thank you for taking the time today to come and tell us about what it's like studying in Canada versus what it's like studying in Germany. We're going to do the comparison today. So before we go into the video, I know in the last video you introduced yourself, but for those who haven't seen that video, can you please introduce yourself and why you moved to Canada again briefly, maybe this time from the study perspective?
Yeah, for sure. So hi, thanks Wally for bringing me here. I really appreciate you bringing me here. I'm Tolu. I go by Unravel with Tolu on Instagram and on Twitter. I am a blogger and a podcaster. I talk about moving abroad, whether to Canada or UK or anywhere else in the world. I'm really pro immigration. I believe like moving abroad can really change your life. And I see how Ali's life has changed from moving about. So that's really exciting that we share the same interests. Yeah, basically that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. I decided to move to Canada because I shared earlier in the previous video that job prospect was one of the biggest things that made me decide to move to Canada. To be honest, I never thought I was going to to get another degree. It was never my plan. I always said I have a computer science degree. I can do anything in the world. Like I didn't need another additional degree. But as at then, I knew like study, especially as an African immigrant, study is one of the most popular ways you can kind of migrate to another country. There are not a lot of options for skilled workers to always move abroad. So study was like the route I looked at, and also looking at what now I know things differently now, and I think I should have tried to move as a skilled worker to Canada rather than as a student. Mm-hmm. But then I just felt like I didn't have enough qualifications for me to get to that point. So doing things differently for people who have work experience, I would say definitely consider other options in terms of express entry programs in Canada. You can explore with that. But my caveat to that will also be that things have really changed. It's Canadian immigration. Federal skilled worker has been paused for like the last almost 2 years now.
No.
So yeah.
Why? What happened?
It's basically COVID. That's the long short of it all. Application times are taking longer. So people who have been in the pool since like 2020 and they haven't heard anything. So right now, school is like the only option or provincial nomination. But if you want to know all about that stuff, just go on my page and go and
go to her blog, go to her
Yeah.
Instagram. Like, she shares so much content on immigration to Canada. So if that's what you're looking for, she has all the information there. But let's talk about the study part, right? So you already had a master degree before in the UK, and you still went to do another master degree in Canada.
No, actually, I did my undergrad in the UK. Then I took for a master's program in Canada.
Right. So let's talk about the first thing, which for people who want to study abroad, biggest thing, tuition fees. So let's talk about like, I know every university charges different tuition fee depending on the course you want to study in Canada and all that. So let's talk about like, what are the ranges? Should we put them like in a budget range of like, I mean, when you're thinking about studying abroad, you think more, if you're smart, you think more from the perspective of what's my budget, right? So let's talk from that perspective. What are the budgeting range for tuition fees in Canada, for example?
Okay, so this will be more for people who are going into postgraduate education, because if you're going undergrad, then obviously it's going to be more expensive because it's cumulative of 4 years. But more for postgrad students, I would first suggest that you look at research-based programs. Research-based programs are usually cheaper because you probably take between 4 to 6 classes for your entire program, and you use the rest to focus on writing your thesis. So if you do a research-based program and you find a supervisor, chances are your supervisor has some sort of funding for you. So that gives you like an opportunity to definitely either not pay tuition at all or just pay a small amount of fee. In addition to that, because you no longer be taking classes, then you probably just be paying a continuance fee being a student. So depending on the school, you can pay as low as $2,000, $1,500. But for the actual education itself, you could pay, like when you're in school taking classes, you could pay up to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, obviously depending on where you are schooling. However, if you're doing like a thought-based program, so what I mean by thought-based program is you're going there and just taking classes, then that would be expensive. It could range anywhere from averagely between $15,000 to maybe $40,000, depending on
per year.
No, not per year, for like the duration of your program. So most programs somewhere between 1 year to 2 years program. But if you're doing a 2 years program, you probably be on the range of closer to 40-something thousand, 30-something thousand, because you probably pay, let's say, 15,000 in 1 year and another 15,000 in another year. So that's kind of how it will sum up. But of course, as Wadi said earlier, with the caveat, depends on your program, depends on the school. Obviously, those would be caveats as well. But I'd say like a decent program somewhere around $15,000 for a thought-based program.
And these are public universities where they charge these hefty fees.
Interesting, because I feel like in Canada, there is not much segregation between public and private. If you ask me if the school I went to was public or private, I can't even tell you that.
Oh, wow.
But I know for a fact that most private schools in Canada do not even allow you to be eligible for work permits. They have to have been registered with the Canadian immigration to have a designated institution learning number. So if you're looking at a private school, I would suggest to make sure that that school is eligible for work permit. So most times people will never look at programs from a private school because you're not sure if you have to do that extra check to find out if they will make you eligible for a postgraduate work permit.
But then is there any advantage to choosing a public school over a private school or vice versa? Or like you said, there's no difference in Canada. This is differentiation.
Yeah, there is no difference really. Canada doesn't even do ranking like best schools and stuff. We don't do rankings. The only kind of ranking we do is ranking based on research, and they'll do U15 schools. So with the top 15 schools in research, it doesn't mean that they're like the schools that don't make the list are not good in other things. That's the only classification they kind of give to their schools here. And most of them will be, I'll just call them public schools because you can't really tell the difference whether it's public or private. But yeah,
all right. So I think this one is going to be very short because Germany wins hands down. In public universities in Germany, the public universities are tuition free. So you don't have to pay tuition. You just have to pay a semester fee every semester, which can be 200 euros to 400, 450, depends on the school, the region, and so on, which is why many people like to apply to public universities in Germany. However, that being said, if you get accepted in the public university, before you come to Germany, you have to have something called a blocked account, which if people are following me on Instagram, I leave my Instagram here, go and follow me, explain what blocked account is and how much you need to put in the blocked account, just so that even though you're coming to get free education, but you need to be able to take care of yourself. You cannot be a burden to the state. So they want to make sure that at least your financial situation is secure when you come to Germany. So that amount is not, it's 10,334 or something. If it's not correct, I'll put it somewhere here. So you still have to have that money, although it's free. And private universities in Germany are the tuition fees, I would say, slightly comparable to Canada, although it depends on the schools. Private universities are not so many in Germany because the concept is still not that popular yet, because many Germans that can speak the language are like, why should I go and pay when I can equally get good quality education in a public university? But for international students, it's a viable option. If I don't want to go into the stunts that the embassies pull, because anyway, all that, if you want to find out all those secrets, you have to go to my course. Go and sign up, Anyway, yeah, I talk about all that more in my course, like all the situations with the embassy, what you can do, and so on and so forth. But the point is, Germany wins here hands down because public universities are tuition free, and even the private universities are still kind of cheaper than the tuitions that they charge in Canada. So let me move to the next question. Yes, so let's talk about cost of living as a student in Canada, for example. Yeah, what's the general cost of living for you as a student? How much should you budget? Of course, I know it depends on the province or the state, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just give a ballpark figure. Like for you, for example, how much did it cost you every month when you were a student in Canada?
I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think there was a time I did the numbers, and I think it cost me, for the duration of my program, it cost me about maybe over $20,000 to live in Canada. But remember that in that number is probably a lot of miscellaneous things in those numbers, but that kind of give you a ballpark as to how those numbers work. Of course, it could be definitely cheaper for you as a student. And just to clarify, my program was for about 2 years. It wasn't 2 years fully, but it was about 2 years. So you can kind of have a variation of what that number is like. And this number was from 2 years ago, and it's based on me living in Halifax, Nova Scotia. One of the things that I think significantly dictates how much you will spend is where you live. I personally opted to live off campus because I felt it would be logical. I wouldn't have to move off campus during holidays to find where to stay, because some schools will require that you pay additional fees if you wanted to stay on campus during holidays. I didn't choose on campus because most residents on campus come with catered meals. For me, I was just not ready to risk it.
Hey. You guys are living bougie. Let me get this straight. In Canada, universities provide also accommodation for their students.
And catering, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's interesting, because such a thing does not exist.
Especially for undergrads, they'll put you more in the catered accommodation. So they'll be like a dining hall where you eat lunch, breakfast, dinner, and all that kind of stuff. But as a postgrad student, you have the option to stay in a non-catered accommodation.
Wow. Is that why the tuition is so expensive, or this hostel and stuff is separate?
It's separate from, so it could cost at like 15,000, 9,000, depending on where you stay. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting difference, because such a thing does not exist in Germany. So universities in Germany do not provide accommodation. The accommodation is taken care of by a student body, a German-wide student body called Studentenwerk. And they have limited accommodation in different cities. So you most of the time you most likely will not find something there because there's a long wait list and everything. So most people just go and get an apartment in a shared apartment or something. But the question I wanted to address is like, how much would it cost, for example, per month as a student in Canada? If you were living off campus, for example, not in all those states.
I would say so. Maybe your rent to be somewhere. Like I always advise students go with a shared space because it's cheaper for you. So you can be lucky to find something around, like if you're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, you can be lucky to find something between 800 to 1,100 if it's a shared space. And I'm putting that number in as a caveat of if heating and electricity is included. You might be lucky to find those places as a student because most places you will live in a proper housing setup. So let's say you're spending about 800 to 1,100 on rent. Your transport for Nova Scotia, because you're a student, you automatically get a bus pass, so you don't have to worry about transport. For feeding, you can probably spend somewhere around $200 to $250 on groceries every month, like if you're frugal. In terms of healthcare, you have insurance to kind of cover your healthcare, so you might not need to worry so much, except when you have to pay pay for drugs. And for paying for drugs, the insurance kind of covers part of it. But in Nova Scotia, I'm putting a caveat for Nova Scotia because it's not every province that this applies to. After living 1 year in Nova Scotia, you're entitled to free healthcare as a student, because that's kind of, so with that free healthcare, like you can go for doctor's visit without using your insurance, for your insurance will still cover your drugs. Like drugs are not always covered with medical care here. What else am I missing? For your phone bill, you can pay somewhere between $50 to $100, depending if you're getting a contracted phone or you have your phone and you just want to put a SIM in it. So overall, I'll say she'll be looking at somewhere between, I think you can still do a frugal lifestyle if you have somewhere between $1,300 to $2,000. I don't think you spend up to $2,000.
Frugal. I like how you said frugal. I love it. Frugal. Like Canada, you guys don't go to Canada, come to Germany. The only problem is you have to learn the language. That's all.
Yeah, because like I'm saying this because like obviously when I was here, easily I could live below 1,200 every month. But like with the cost of living, inflation, everything has kind of really changed. Like even in Halifax, like a small city, I don't think you can find a place that is 1,200 for one bedroom. I wish you good luck in finding that place. So it's just all things you have to deal with. Oh, and I didn't even say, because Canada is a country where people drive a lot. So if you're a student and you own a car, then you have to think of parking. So schools require that you pay for parking if you wanted to park on campus, or if you wanted to park in your apartment. If you live downtown, then obviously you have to pay for parking. But if you're not living downtown, you probably have to you not have to pay for parking depending on your place. But now in Canada, everybody's moving mad. You're paying for parking whether you stay downtown or not. So it's just insane. Yeah.
It's interesting because it seems like only rich people go to Canada to study, because all these things they're saying is foreign. Like you're a student and you have a car. Like how? Why? What?
Yeah. Because like moving about, like obviously my city, thankfully, it's not as difficult, but in some provinces like Manitoba that I mentioned in the previous video, it can be quite hard to move around. And imagine doing grocery shopping, like maybe your monthly grocery shopping, and in winter, the bus is not coming. As a student, you probably think of paying taxi. Then before you know, you're probably
the bus will come freeze.
in -10 degrees. You don't want to try that.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, exactly. So when you think of all those things, like moving around can be a bit difficult depending on what province you're in. So some people just, like, you find lots of students always have a car, especially like typical Canadians, they will have a car. Even immigrants in the next, like if you're an undergrad, in another 2 or 3 years, you're thinking of buying a car. So because it just makes your life easier.
Wow, bougie. You can be bougie in Canada, like bougie students. Anyway, people that move to Germany move on a budget because they're looking for free school. So they're always like on that extremely tight budget.
No, but I still think like if you don't have money, you can definitely still come to Canada. You just target the kind of school you go to. Like, for instance, I think Saskatchewan, a province in Canada, has one of the most affordable schools. Also Newfoundland as well. Is a province that has one of the most affordable schools. I think the school Memorial University you can get tuition as low as less than $10,000. So obviously you still have those caveats, but in today's time, I think you have to be rich to kind of move abroad, because even when you just think of the exchange rate alone, it's insane. When you think of all the factors that play into the increase in cost of living, it's pretty much insane right now.
All right. So, like from the German perspective, the reason why they ask that you should block a minimum of 10,000 plus euros is that the expectation is that your minimum expenses should be around, I wrote it down here, 861 euros per month. So that's covering your accommodation, your health insurance. Health insurance is not free here. You have to pay for health insurance, but for students is subsidized, so you pay a lower rate depending on how old you are. And for public transportation ticket is paid per semester. So the semester fees that we spoke about is including your public transportation tickets. So you get for 6 months, you pay, I think it was in Berlin 191 euros. I'm not sure, around that amount for the whole of Berlin. So you can use the trains, the trams, the buses, everything. And the good thing about Germany, especially in the big cities, is that it's very, very well connected, especially Berlin, for example, or even Hamburg. All the big cities are very well connected with public transportation, so that you rarely ever have to buy a car, even as someone who is working, except maybe you live maybe outside of the city or on the outskirts and you prefer to commute. But really, public transportation is so good and reliable that you can just get a ticket. And as a student, is cheaper, of course, because then you pay 191 for 6 months. That's a whole semester. Meanwhile, not like working people pay, depending on the zones and everything, but they pay around 64 or even 91 euros for the whole region. So you can see what a massive subsidization it is for students.
A monthly or a yearly pass?
For as a student?
As a worker?
Yeah, you can get a yearly pass. Usually you should get a yearly pass. But I'm just trying to give the comparison on how the subsidization, like if you want to compare it to how much people pay per month, and then students just pay 191 for 6 months, it's a massive subsidization. And also accommodation as well. Of course, if you're lucky enough to get accommodation with Studentenwerk, that is much cheaper. But most likely it's not going to be the case. You are going to have to go to a shared apartment, and now it's getting even more expensive. So the German government recommends that 861 euros is how much you should spend on your cost of living per month. But of course, it depends on your lifestyle. You can live frugally on that money, but your life is really going to be frugal. And if you want a bit more, then you can earn money or block a bit more money so that you can have more to spend per month.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for sharing all this information with us. I'm sure there's a lot of insights on what it's like studying in Canada versus what it's like studying in Germany. And if the people are watching, if you want more information, please, Tolu, can you tell them where they can find out more information for studying or moving to Canada?
Of course, the first place I'll say is go find me at Unravel with Tolu on Instagram and on Twitter. Check out my blog and my website, unravelwithtolu.com, for more information about Canadian immigration and how to move to Canada, get a study permit. You can also go to the Canadian immigration site. So you can do canada.com and find all the information you need there as well.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And if you want more information about moving to Germany, studying in Germany, and so on, I have lots of videos on my channel. I'm going to link them in the description box so you can go and watch those videos yourself. And if you want more guidance and step-by-step guidance and advice and everything, go to my website, waleochronicles.com, and sign up for either a consultation, or you can sign up for my course, which I will also leave in the link below. And thank you very much. Now, after all that promo, now I can say thank you once again for coming on the channel. And you guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope we've been able to help, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.